Before a person says a single word, the room they live in has already told a story about them, and most people have no idea what story their space is telling. Environmental psychology is the study of how physical spaces affect and reflect human psychology. What researchers in this field have found goes well beyond a messy desk means a creative mind. Specific patterns in how people design, fill, and maintain their living spaces correlate with identifiable emotional states, including the ones people work hardest to hide. This video covers what those patterns are, what they signal, and what changing a space can actually change about the person in it. Stay until the end. The final section covers one audit anyone can do in under 10 minutes, and it reveals more about unresolved emotional patterns than most people expect. The most revealing spot in any home is not the bedroom or the living room. It is the area the owner tells every guest to ignore. Can a room actually broadcast insecurity, or is this just aesthetics dressed up as psychology? The foundational research here is real and specific. Roger Ulrich's 1984 study, published in Science, showed that surgical patients whose hospital room windows faced a natural view recovered measurably faster than patients whose windows faced a brick wall. Shorter hospital stays. Fewer pain medications. More positive nurse notes. The physical environment was not just a backdrop. It was actively influencing psychological and physiological outcomes. More recently, researchers at UCLA's Center on Everyday Lives of Families spent 4 years documenting the homes of 32 middle-class Los Angeles families. Women in households with high density of objects, more possessions, more decor, more visual complexity, showed elevated cortisol levels, the primary stress hormone, throughout the day. Men in the same households did not show the same pattern. The researchers found that women in those environments were reading their own domestic space as unfinished work pressing on their attention, a continuous, low-level cognitive load. The key finding is not that clutter causes stress in some abstract way. The key finding is that the space's contents were communicating something to the person living in it, and that communication was producing measurable biological effects. The home was not neutral background. It was an ongoing message. Other studies have examined hospital room personalization, office plant placement, and the effect of ceiling height on abstract versus concrete thinking. Each one shows the same directional result. The physical environment is in constant conversation with the people inside it, and the conversation runs both ways. The research confirms what decorators have suspected for centuries: a space's contents are a message. The first person that message reaches is the person who lives there. Once that is established, the specific signals become both interesting and recognizable. What do specific types of spaces actually signal about the person in them? Clutter is the most studied category, and the findings cut against the romanticization of productive disorder. Multiple studies across different populations have found that people describing their homes as cluttered or unfinished are significantly more likely to report depression and fatigue than people describing their homes as restful. The association holds even after controlling for the physical size of the space. The clutter's meaning, the sense that things are unresolved, is more important than its physical mass. Empty walls in a long-term residence tell a different story. Short-term renters leave walls bare because they do not plan to stay and are not investing in the space emotionally. Long-term residents who leave walls entirely bare over years often report a similar emotional dynamic: reluctance to fully claim the space, to assert that they belong in it. Environmental psychologists recognize this as a form of provisional living. The person has not yet internally decided their home. The facade home is the pattern that appears most consistently in clinical contexts: a living room that looks intentional and curated while the bedroom is entirely inaccessible to anyone outside the household. The split is rarely accidental. What is displayed publicly represents the identity the person is performing. What is hidden represents what they cannot yet perform, the parts of the actual self that do not fit the curated version. The larger the gap between the two zones, the more the performance is costing. Color in personal spaces follows patterns that hold across cultures more than might be expected. Spaces with very high saturation on every wall frequently belong to people who use their environment to manage energy, either because they find stillness uncomfortable, or because the space is a compensation for a life that feels muted in other dimensions. What a person shows visitors and what they hide from them are the two halves of a story they are telling about who they are versus who they fear they actually are. Collections and displays add another layer to this reading, one more about aspiration than anxiety. What do the things people choose to display say about what they cannot say out loud? Displayed objects fall into two broad categories: identity anchors and aspiration signals. Identity anchors connect the person to a history they value: family photographs, cultural objects, credentials, evidence of past experiences. Aspiration signals gesture toward who the person wants to become or be seen as: books arranged more by visibility than reading frequency, travel objects from places they consider impressive, art chosen to project sophistication. Neither category is problematic on its own. What becomes revealing is the proportion and the intensity. A home where every visible object is an identity anchor belongs statistically to someone for whom the past is doing significant emotional work, often because the present or future feels uncertain or threatening. A home dominated entirely by aspiration signals, where the person has built a curated version of a future self rather than a present one, frequently belongs to someone with a fragile sense of current identity. The desk is the most honest surface in any workspace. Unlike living rooms, which are arranged with visitors in mind, desks accumulate in real time. Their organization reflects actual behavior rather than performed behavior. What sits permanently on a desk, what gets buried beneath other things, and what never makes it onto the desk maps directly to where a person's attention is focused and what they are avoiding. A desk arranged for efficiency says little about the person. A desk arranged to keep the most important task just out of immediate sight says quite a lot. The desk does not lie. Every pile on it is a decision that has not yet been made. All of this leads to the most useful part: what, if anything, changing a space actually changes about the person in it. Does redesigning a space change behavior, or does behavior always come first? The relationship runs in both directions, which is what environmental psychologists call the cyclical model. Internal states shape external spaces, and external spaces then reinforce internal states. A person in a depressive period stops maintaining their space, the deteriorating space deepens the depression. A person rebuilding a sense of control often starts by reorganizing one physical area. The reorganized area returns a sense of agency that makes the next step more accessible. The practical result is that changing a physical space can be a genuine behavioral intervention, not a replacement for addressing underlying patterns, but a legitimate lever. Studies on students working in organized versus cluttered environments show consistent improvements in focus and retention in cleaner spaces. The environment is not just aesthetics. It is shaping the cognitive conditions inside it. The audit that reveals the most is simple. Walk through the home and notice which areas are avoided, not forgotten, but actively avoided. The corner of the bedroom where a chair has become a permanent clothes pile. The desk drawer that has not been opened in 4 months. The spare room that has become a staging area for objects the owner cannot decide to keep or release. Avoided areas almost always contain unresolved decisions. The objects inside them represent something the person is not yet ready to look at directly. Cleaning those areas is not the goal. The goal is to identify what decision is sitting in each pile, and to make it. The objects are just the containers. The place in the home that feels most uncomfortable to think about is the place that is doing the most emotional work. The physical space around a person is not passive. It is a continuous feedback loop, shaped by the person, and then shaping them back. The insecurities a space broadcasts are not always visible to the person broadcasting them. That is part of what makes them insecurities. Clean the avoided corner. Not because a clean corner solves anything, but because the reason it was left avoided is sitting right there waiting to be looked at. If this made you look at your own space differently, subscribe for more content on the psychology behind everyday patterns every week. Hit like and share it with someone whose home you have always found interesting.